I gotta say, I have a little bit of a personal preference here as well in terms of decks, because Philipp has brought one of my beloved decks of the last couple of weeks. He brought the APORHIS strategy, but he is mixing it up with the PRIMITE cards, and that is something you haven't really seen that much yet. As you said, he likes to cook things up, and that is certainly a well dish that he has put together here. And he starts off with normal summoning the Ether Barrel. And usually when you see that, you would expect, yeah, blue eyes probably, but no, there's some other stuff about to come here.
To be honest, I want to see how the two engines mixed with each other and what's the synergy behind this.
Oh, and look at that, we're not searching the most common card, but that is a new card from Duelist Advance. It is PRIMITE Fusion, and Yugioh, as experienced as he is, he still has to take a quick read on this one, because that is not a particularly common card. And now I think we activate the other effect of LAVALIER to special summon out a normal monster.
Oh, and that is so funny. Chains another one.
But wait, the driver is handsome at 0 draws because the driver wasn't at the one moment you want to have the Cypher driver in hand. That's hilarious.
And that is just activate PRIMITE LAVALIER to discard two hands.
Yes!
Two cards from your opponent's hand. And at this point, I don't think you want to activate the PRIMITE Fusion anymore.
And I mean, there's APORHIS cards in your deck, so this may as well be very impactful trap cards that we have set there. So we're passing on this, and let's see whether it will be enough, because Yugioh is on his recently most favorite strategy again, the MITSURUGI cards paired up with the RYZEALs. And that is pre-preparation of rights. Is that a card you can let resolve? It's tough, but it will resolve in that instance here.
Yep. When it resolves, it's really hard. We were just saying, losing two cards in hand, that is of course a problem. But if you are starting with non-rolled MITSURUGI engine into a half field that Philipp has put up, that's really, really tough, because these cards tend to generate so much advantage.
I don't know if you even call this a half field, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you have two trap cards maybe.
With only 4 cards remaining to start Yugioh's turn, one of them being pre-preparation of rights is massive, really. That is one of the cards you would want there, one of the cards you need there, and Yugioh is already resolving his combo here. He revealed the Habakiri, the Saji's in the graveyard, and that is prayers for him now as well.
I mean, the Fualos, they did the job, right? You discarded 2 of them, but then you let your opponent end on absolutely nothing, so that's huge.
The ritual also resolves. I'm wondering what the set cards are for Philipp, because I feel like some of those things you really want to stop. Like if you had a Dominus Purge, you really immediately want to stop the pre-preparation of rights. If you had the APORHIS trap card, somehow you also would like to interact with the ritual at the very least. But Philipp is not doing anything about all of that, so maybe he doesn't have anything to stop him here.
Kusanagi adding back the ritual. I like the MITSURUGI main deck monsters so much. Just either they're normal summon starters or they're just going to get you. We're adding Futsu here for Aramasa, so really, really big RYZEAL package here, MITSURUGI package. I find it very interesting that you can play the deck 2 entirely different ways. They're either minimizing on this RYZEAL engine, sometimes even just playing 4 cards of the RYZEAL strategy in the main deck, or sometimes just going for all of the RYZEAL cards you can find and then just play 1 Murakumo, triple Habakiri, and the main deck monsters, basically.
No, Yugioh is definitely taking the MITSURUGI route. You can also tell by his 3 copies of MITSURUGI Ritual in the main deck, for example. That's the maximum you can get, so he's really valuing that. But there's Infinite Impermanence dodged by the prayers that was actually known, and that immediately makes Philipp considering to pick up his... Oh no, wait, we're resolving the Murakumo. I was also too quick on that one.
That happened to me so many times already as well.
Prayers was very well known there in the hand. Destroyed both of these now. And also got to bring back something, maybe?
Philipp doesn't look too happy. Basti, you have been very, very much eager to see the PRIMITE APORHIS deck. Why don't you tell us a little bit of what it's supposed to do?
I mean, you are supposed to end on multiple trap cards, as usually the APORHIS deck already is doing. Like you have Statue of the Anguish pattern, which you usually are going to set through that, of course, so beloved Silhouette Rabbit, and then you have the APORHIS traps being the Serpent and the Swamp Deity, and then you back it up even with those very, 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 very strong trap cards that you can play in this, because this is not only Purge anymore, but additionally to that also Songs of the Dominators. And I mean, you can play Songs of the Dominators because the PRIMITE engine is not really that impacted by it, and that card is bonkers on
Are those though the interruptions that you want to bring against RYZEAL MITSURUGI deck? Meaning that I don't know if the APORHIS cards are exactly what you want to bring against MITSURUGI engine.
Oh, and Philipp is packing up his cards. He's seen enough. That is too much value and also too much.
Judge. Maybe Anubis, the last judge, is going to be in his opening hand here. I'm calling for a judge in that opening hand, please.
I mean, it was there in the last hand, didn't get into play. Oh, this is looking like a hand already. Oh, wow. This is a hand.
Indeed it is, but let's see, maybe Yugioh has things to counter it. We start off with Treasures of the Kings, and what a field spell that is. I really fell in love with that card, because just both effects of it are actually just crazy, because you get to immediately, on the activation, as we are now going to see, set one of your Apophis trap cards from the deck, and we do, of course, go for the more powerful one, Apophis the Serpent, because that then is also going to get us through this, to the Swamp Deity eventually. And now, if we get another set card there, we can also activate the Surge effect of the field spell too, to search for either the Man with the Mark, for the Scorpion, or for Anubis, the Last Judge.
No response to that on the side of you, so that's also quite interesting. Maybe we're going to respond to Man with the Mark. Added to the hand. There he is, the man, the myth,
The myth,
the legend,
the Mark.
And to be honest, you didn't know that Philipp was on APORHIS.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a shocker for sure. If you are not familiar with that strategy, Man with the Mark is being normal summoned. Ash Blossom there, so normal summon was committed. I see why you waited there. Also quite interesting, the Man with the Mark, it's a card, it's just a level 4 monster with 1000 attack points. Really hard to out.
It is, but that's all we got. Sets one more card, so we know about Apophis the Serpent. And then there's more, but we shall see whether it is enough to counter this. We activate Habakiri once more. That's so strong of a start for Yugioh right away. Is there any way to counter this? We probably got to bring out the Saji again here.
And this just plays so well around Dominus Purge, it's incredible.
But it doesn't play around Mistaken Arrest. Ooh.
Yeah, but does your deck play around Mistaken Arrest?
That's what I'm also wondering.
You really have to rely on this card now, hope that it carries you through the turn, that you doesn't do anything against it, and then Philipp has the ability to go for Apophis the Serpent, set a Swamp Deity, special summon that out as well, and then go for the Deity.
I mean, what's also cool is the Man with the Mark, it's not that easy to clear, because clearly it cannot be destroyed by battle right now, because there is Treasures of the Kings on the field, so that makes it pretty tough to deal with. And I mean, we're cutting Philipp's deck right now, so I feel like Yugioh might have just passed it back over, and that is fantastic news for Philipp, because that Mistaken Arrest really putting a mistake into Yugioh's plan there, and there is now the Serpent, and that is not a small card in terms of attack points, because that is 1600 right away, and when the Swamp Deity, and there it is, comes joining it eventually, that's another 2000, so we're racking up attack points here quickly.
But I mean, you can't activate the effect of Temple of the Kings. Mistaken Arrest prohibits you from searching in your turn as well. But I think you can just play around Nibiru, just set up more of these cards. I think a Divine Serpent is worth it.
It's worth it. It's
100%.
You probably go into the battle phase first, just because it's more attack points, but I do agree with you that you probably just, for that one draw, want to go for it. Yep, we are in the battle phase. That is 4600, so I think Yugioh has more than half of his life points wiped out by that battle phase.
That would be crazy versus Melis, huh?
Yeah.
This would be substantial damage already. I mean, with 3400, they can still play quite a bit, especially if they have GWC.
Philipp does agree, goes into his extra deck, and that is a Contact Fusion, as we like to call it, going into Divine Serpent Apophis without any kind of fusion spell, but just using 2 Apophis traps. And now, the cool thing about this card is it gets to set back up to 3 Apophis trap cards from the graveyard, and therefore we have them available again for the next turn. And that's so huge, because now you have the Swamp Deity, but the Apophis the Serpent ready to bring out another one again, and we give another draw going into the Silhouette Rabbit now as well.
That is quite interesting, but you gotta be honest, the Statue of Anguish Patterns is so good. If this card isn't outed, there's basically nothing that can play through it. I thought I could play through it with my...
Another sad card. Trap cards are back, baby. 5 sets, and Philipp ready to stop Yugioh once more.
I mean, I thought I could play through it with my RYZEAL, but it can just not be targeted once you have another face-up trap monster on the field, and that is insane.
The statue is really a statue, in the true meaning of the word.
I'm gonna be honest, you could have prevented this one by just summoning out the Apophis the Serpent immediately and then activating a Swamp Deity
you're
later
fine.
on.
You can just activate. You have a Swamp Deity
At
already.
this point, Habakiri cannot activate again the effect because it's one
true, yeah.
per duel.
Yeah. So
can
we have
just
the Swamp
chain,
Deity just chain. Oh, we chain the statue. All right.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That works. Negates the pre-preparation, but still, Yugioh has a decent amount of cards to work with here.
Yeah, but Habakiri doesn't do anything anymore.
But that doesn't work anymore, and Philipp takes game number 2 with the PRIMITE Apophis.
Entering game 3 right now, and I want to see how PRIMITE Apophis can manage to go second against RYZEAL MITSURUGI, because there is an issue with a lot of traps being drawn.
Yeah, and RYZEAL MITSURUGI, that is the deck that basically, if it combos off, it looks like it can't be beat. The full field of the deck is just absolutely insane. And now you starting with X-Send Aggregator. Philipp just gives a thumbs up. That's, I don't think, what he feels in his heart, but he was just like, oh yeah, let's get the combos rolling.
All right, searches for Node RYZEAL, interestingly
Yeah,
enough.
might have a sword.
There is the sword already, indeed. So the good thing is when you start with your RYZEAL cards, there's an easy way to also get to your MITSURUGI cards, of course, with King of the Feral Imps, and therefore Yugioh has everything he would ever need here to really go for as big of a combo as he would ever
And
imagine.
he starts checking for hand traps. For example, he checked for draw, and he can continue right now, and probably a Fualos also.
Yeah, absolutely. There comes the Habakiri. He immediately went for the King of the Feral Imps, and you can really tell that Yugioh is so experienced with the strategy.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He knows every move, and it goes by quickly because he has been doing those combos for quite a while. As I was saying, he was actually on this deck, but not a lot of people were on it. Before actually Habakiri was even released, he was already summoning Murakumo at YCSs and doing well with it. So he was really on there on the first wave immediately, and he's riding that wave since then.
And at this point, a lot of MITSURUGI cards have resolved, which gives a lot of advantage to you. And I think it also gives him a lot of confidence.
Just if you get to resolve those MITSURUGI cards and your opponent doesn't stop them yet, I feel like this is a little bit like Malice. It has to be stopped immediately with a Droll and Lockbird or with Fuolos to just keep it in check. A little bit Fuolos, not even that impactful. Once you start to resolve your cards, especially in the RYZEAL MITSURUGI deck, you're good to go. It's really hard to overcome that field. We haven't seen that at all in the playoffs yesterday. This is what really surprised me, because I think that this deck can put up the best field in the game right now, by far.
Definitely. At least when it comes down to what is immediately present on the field, right? The scary cards. Like, it is pulling up multiple monsters really that are immediately scary to you, that also are providing negation through RYZEAL cross often enough. Then you have, of course, that Murakumo ready to just destroy all cards on your opponent's side of the field. I think the Malice field also is super strong. It just doesn't look as strong immediately, right? But there's so much coming throughout the turn. But when you do see this combo field from this deck here, it is very, very, very much one of the best fields you could imagine.
And you have like 20 cards in hand afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same with the Malice deck, right? When you resolve your Chessy Cat, even though I don't think we've ever seen a Chessy Cat resolve, it's always a permanence.
And another thumbs up from Philipp. Also, RYZEAL will be bringing another monster to the field here.
We're playing a little into Nibiru, not much to be honest, because Murakumo would still be able to summon itself.
And
Habakiri would be able to.
Both of them.
No, Murakumo was actually used to summon out the Habakiri from deck. So Murakumo summoned itself back.
Activate the effect.
Yeah, Habakiri hasn't, so you just summon it back, add prayers, and then you still have interruptions.
And yeah,
but I believe this is the last check that you has to take in order to summon Duo Drive and see if Philipp has any Nibiru.
goes for Dugaris first. Interesting. And I mean, it's overall very, very different on how people approach the extra deck of the RYZEAL strategy, or the RYZEAL MITSURUGI strategy rather, because some people opt to go for rank 8s even, to have like more linking between the two engines, for example, making sure that 2 level 8 monsters brings you into RYZEAL engines sometimes as well, by searching 7th Tachyon. That's very popular. It's not something that Yugioh is doing. And then there's also, of course, all kind of different options in the level 4 and rank 4 rather department, and even some link monsters here in the deck from Yugioh, which aren't necessarily obvious because you're very often just trying to go down the rank 4 route, as we see another rank 4 here with the Eclipse Twins, but there even is IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight in Yugioh's extra deck.
Just an extra layer of power on your end field here. We're going to see a MITSURUGI.
He has been
Murloc.
locked to Exige, I believe, since he summoned next.
Yeah, that's true. So sometimes when you're starting with your ritual engine, then you can play an IP Masquerena on your field before you activate or normal summon your Ice RYZEAL.
Absolutely. That does often enough come up, and I think it just into certain matchups you also just value that so hard. And there is now also the great purification. The field will look even greater than it usually would be in game number 1.
Habakiri doesn't come back.
Node RYZEAL. Oh yeah, you're right. Now Eclipse Twins will be sent off the Node RYZEAL to bring back another monster from the graveyard. And of course Eclipse Twins will now also activate. And that's going to bring back the Dugaris maybe? Or the King of the Pharaoh Limbs? What are we going for? I don't think it really matters that much, right? Because you're not going to use them anyhow.
He can activate again the effect of King of the Swamp.
Oh, King of the Pharaohs, yeah, sure.
That's true. You can search for another reptile, even though I think you're basically through all of them.
Yeah, you almost don't want to search them anymore because you want to have search targets for Murakumo later on, but still, well, yeah, he may.
I mean, search targets for Murakumo is going to be Prayers or something. You can get your follow-up there. I think the only card left in the deck might be Habakiri, to be honest, because we've seen Saji, we have seen Aramasa, and we have seen Kusanagi.
Yeah, you're right.
You also make less room in the deck, so you can draw into your hand traps and side deck options.
That is true. I just like how the King of the Pharaoh Limbs is absolutely chilling on the field, with no business being there.
Detonator puts the Eclipse Twins underneath, so it's protecting itself sort of as well. 1 set card, 2 set card, 3 set cards. That is something to worry about for Philipp, but I think it marks the end of Yugioh's turn at least, so now we can try. What will Philipp be able to do here?
Man with the marks the end of his turn. Can man with the mark on Philipp's side just swing this
Going
game
second,
back to him?
I guess the full RYZEAL MITSURUGI field with only traps, and
yeah,
I don't know how Philipp can feel right now.
Detonator is already a big problem, has always been for the Apophis deck, the deck based on Marik's performance at the Battle City tournament.
And now
it wasn't Marik.
The judge was called
Odeon.
Indeed it was, yeah. And there is the man with the mark. But it really feels like Philipp just has all kind of different Apophis cards, and I don't even see any PRIMITE cards really in his hand. And I think that's what in theory makes his deck so strong, that he wants a combination of those two things. And wait, he actually does have one of the PRIMITE cards, but that's the one that doesn't work on its own because he did pick up the Drill Beam.
Yep. And now
and that is all it needed. And there we see the hand, puts it onto the table. That is not something you really want to see going second. Just double Swamp Deity is nothing you want to use.